But who knows? Maybe he's not lying. Either way, I am definitely going to do an experiment in a future video and see if it works. Okay, now this next theory we're going to talk about involves one of the craziest things I've ever seen on TV. That's right, Wendy Williams passing out.
How you doing? Halloween costume contest. We do it every year. It's always a lot of fun. Let's get started. Our first caress.
I know, literally one of the scariest things I've ever seen. I couldn't believe that people were like making jokes and laughing about it right away. When I saw it, I was terrified. First of all, let's talk about how it looked. First, she gets this look on her face like she's terrified. It was almost like something inside of her head snapped. Then she goes to touch the side of her head right before she crashes to the ground. Now, Wendy and her people are claiming that she was just dehydrated.
Apparently, I was dehydrated, according to the paramedics. And instead of drinking regular water, I had electrolyte drinks. And then, I went to my own doctors, and I'm fine.
And then when people were saying, then why were you touching your head like it hurt? She said she was trying to hold up her crown.
So for people watching, when they saw me, put my hand up, it's because I'm trying to make sure my crown is there.
Now, of course, a lot of people online are saying, oh wow, this is like a metaphor. Wendy Williams fainting while dressed as a Statue of Liberty is the perfect metaphor for 2017. And of course, a lot of people are saying, oh, it was an Illuminati thing, or she was a clone and then she got turned off. But for the most part, a lot of people are saying that it seemed fake. Now, one of the main reasons people think it looks fake is because her eyes never closed or rolled back into her head, which is what happens when you pass out. And if you look at it side by side with somebody who's actually passing out from dehydration, it's different. One of them has their eyes rolled back in their heads. So why would it have been fake? Why would they have planned this? This is where it gets dark.
Every single time a big event happens, they say that the Kardashians, Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn when a really crazy shooting just happened.
Now, this YouTuber goes on to mention all the other crazy things that have happened in pop culture that seem to distract us from things that were happening in the world. I mean, we've talked about it before. People genuinely think that Britney Spears was hired by the George Bush administration to do crazy things to distract us from what was going on in the White House. So basically, anytime George Bush and his people would fuck up or do something wrong, Britney Spears would go crazy and shave her head. And then everybody would be focusing on that rather than what was actually going on in the world. And then after she shaved her head and started wearing a wig, she would start publicly saying things about George Bush like this.
Honestly, I think we should just trust our president in every decision that he makes, and we should just support that, and be faithful in what happens.
Do you trust this president?
Yes, I do.
Now, clearly, it wouldn't be crazy to think that they're working together. Well, then that YouTuber goes on to remind us what happened at the same time as Wendy's passing out.
Wendy Williams passed out on her show the day the Manhattan shooting, the terrorist attack.
Yeah, Wendy passed out literally at the same time there was a very awful terrorist attack in New York.
It just kind of makes sense, and Wendy Williams all of a sudden just fainted on this specific day when something happened. So most people that would be watching TV and stuff, pay attention to the news, know they're gonna go watch and see what the f happened. What did she look like when she fainted?
Now listen, I know this is intense, but she's not wrong. I mean, that entire day, the #1 trending topic and Twitter moment was not the shooting in New York. It was Wendy Williams, and why did she pass out on live TV? Seriously, every single Twitter moment was about Wendy Williams. I mean, people stopped talking about that New York terrorist attack in like 2 seconds, which is crazy. Oh, but don't worry, we got 24/7 news coverage of Wendy Williams why she passed out. So was that a distraction? Was that planned? I don't personally think so, but I mean, it definitely looks sketchy. Okay, let's lighten it up for a second and talk about something stupid. Now, we haven't talked about Poppy in a while, but I have been getting so many people requesting me to bring this up. A clip surfaced of Poppy back in 2015 on the Disney show Jessie, and she did not look like Poppy. I know, weird, right? Like to see her not like but just like a normal girl in the background with a normal girl haircut and a normal girl face weirds me out. Well, even weirder. Supposedly, Poppy is friends with Debbie Ryan, who was the star of Jessie. There's even a video of them like hanging out while Poppy is making a video. So then it makes you think, Debbie Ryan, Disney Channel, evil, Illuminati, Poppy, Illuminati and evil. What if Disney Channel is behind it? Or what if Poppy got her inspiration from the Disney Channel and saw what was going on with Jessie behind the scenes and was like, I'm gonna write some music about this. Either way, it is just weird to see Poppy not being Poppy. Ugh. Okay, so this next thing we're going to talk about is unfortunately something we've been talking about so much lately, and that is more child molesters being exposed. So as you know, Kevin Spacey has been outed as a child molester. So many actors have come out lately saying that he touched them inappropriately when they were underage. And it wasn't even just young guys, it was any guy. Well, Kevin Spacey's own brother came out and said this. His fans love the sinister characters he plays, but he's not acting. That's really him. In reality, he was a monster. His own brother, who probably knows him better than anybody, literally just said he's a monster. Now, this is something Hollywood has known about forever. And Seth MacFarlane has even joked about it on Family Guy years ago.
$10. $5. $8 and I'll do it. Fine. Help! I've escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement! Help me!
But I told you a few months back in a conspiracy video that there are so many child molesters in Hollywood that are protected. And Kevin Spacey was one of them. I knew. Like, I had heard the stories, but I was too afraid to say anything because it wasn't like directly connected to me, like it didn't happen to me. But I knew he was one of the guys that was out there possibly molesting people. And then it got exposed. And that is just the beginning. Okay, now let's end this video with something fun and lighthearted because this has just been too much. So a while ago we talked about movie posters that look identical to each other. But I have learned recently that it is not just movie posters. I got an email from a fan named Macy and she said, hey Shane, have you ever looked into the fact that there's a bunch of album covers that look the same? And oh my god! I'm just gonna take you through a few of these and you're literally not gonna believe it. First we have Zayn and Lil Wayne. Literally the same album covers. Maybe it's intentional. I think it might be intentional. But either way, that's crazy. Then we have Beyonce and Ellie Goulding. Hair blowing in the wind. Fur coat only covering your breasts but showing your belly button. Same cover. Then you have Bjork and Britney Spears. Same pose. Same look into the camera. And then this one literally didn't even try to look different. You have No Doubt and Demi Lovato. Literally the same cover, the same font, the same colors. They just threw Demi in there. And even weirder, the No Doubt and Paramore album. They just changed it from red to orange. And the list goes on. Christina Aguilera looks just like Madonna's. Britney Spears looks just like Mariah Carey's. Earth, Wind & Fire looks just like Iron Maiden. And then there's these three albums that look identical and they're very strange. Yeah, all of these albums. Somebody holding a face in front of their own face. Then of course we have Michael Jackson and Madonna, but the one that weirds me out the most that's like the closest is this one. Yeah. Same pose, hand over the head, similar text on the sides of the body, the wind blowing the hair, literally the same cover. I mean, I don't know, were they intentional? Did some artist just say like, oh, I really like that one, ooh, let's take it? I don't know, but either way, there's a ton of them and there's even more than I showed you today. But one of them that might be intentional is Taylor Swift's new album, Reputation. People are saying it's supposed to look similar to Kanye West's album, The Life of Pablo. Yeah, look at them side by side, the way the text is overlapping, the way it feels like newspaper columns. Is it intentional? Is Taylor Swift trying to get underneath Kanye's skin? Personally, I think yes. But either way, I guess we'll never know. Okay, now this last theory we're going to talk about is kind of a continuation of something we've been talking about a lot, and that is Kenneka Jenkins. Now, as we've talked about before, Kenneka Jenkins was a girl that was found in the freezer dead of a hotel. But things weren't adding up. It did not seem like she just walked in there alone. It seemed like possible murder. But they closed the case and now we just don't have answers. But then I started thinking about something and I remembered a story that happened a while back that's very similar to this. Let's talk about Elisa Lam. Now, as you might remember, Elisa Lam was the girl that was stumbling around a hotel and went into an elevator and started pressing all the buttons. Now, there was footage of her walking in and walking out of the elevator. It seemed like somebody was telling her what to do or guiding her. Huh, that sounds familiar. Kenneka Jenkins stumbling around a hotel room. Security cameras are capturing it. She looks like she's being guided. Well, of course, Kenneka was found dead in the freezer, and Elisa was found dead floating in the water tower on the roof roof of the hotel. But when both autopsies were done, not much was found.
And those answers, Mike, won't be coming for a while yet. We spoke with the LA coroner's office today, who told us the cause of death remains inconclusive, and finding out how Elisa Lam died will require more tests.
So both girls died in hotels under mysterious circumstances, and then the cases were both closed. Well, then I started looking into it, and I found that Elisa had a Tumblr page, and there was some disturbing stuff on it. In one of the posts before she died, she said, "I've arrived in La La Land, and there is a monstrosity of a building next to the place I'm staying." Then she said, "I'm going out tonight. I really hope no creeper comes near me." Then in one of her blog posts, she was complaining about a creepy guy being in her hotel. Now, when her body was found in that water tower, she was naked, she didn't have her phone, and there was even evidence of anal bleeding. Also, there was no way she could have gotten to that water tower alone, like literally.